The idea was to celebrate the volunteers who've helped so much already this year in the Watershed Health and Youth program. There are volunteers who have not had an opportunity to come out, and that's partly because some of the programs we haven't started yet, but also, you know, we don't go all through the year on a regular basis, so it's kind of a little bit disappointing in that way, but there's nothing we can do about it. There's times we can work and times we can't, and I really appreciate when people do come out, because we get tremendous support when we have our work parties. So the first thing I wanted to do was draw your attention to the posters that are on that wall, and you know, please have a look later, because it's what we've been doing, and I love the pictures, and we all love being out in the watershed, and I'm sorry that not all of you can be there as much as some of us have. So anyway, tonight it's a pretty short program, I think, because we don't want to keep you here with speeches or anything. It's not like that at all. This is just getting you updated a little bit on what we've done and what we're going to be doing, and maybe make you think of you know, how you can help out, or what where you might fit into the watershed health. I think it's important that that we do start looking after our own watershed, and we've got some really interesting things coming up. I would like to invite as many of you as possible to become members of MVIHES. It's important for our funders that they see, you know, that a lot of people are involved, even if it's just by becoming a member. And Shirley will be here throughout the evening, off and on, to take memberships. Also, if you want to volunteer for something, just, you know, let me know. Gilles Wendling, our esteemed hydrogeologist, rushed up from Victoria to be here, and then has to rush off again to be at another event, and so we'll probably get going with his presentation about the groundwater, which is a really interesting thing, and puts us really ahead of the curve as far as watershed health and protection goes in this province. I'll ask Dr. Gilles Wendling to come up, and we've been fortunate enough to have him working with us for the last several years, and as I say, it's put us really ahead of the curve as far as watershed health and protection goes, and knowledge about our watershed. So, Gilles?
Thank you. I don't know if you recall, but about 3 years ago, we focused on our efforts in trying to understand what was happening in the lower part of the watershed, below the falls, because this is where we have overburden deposits, sand and gravel deposits, and where we have movement of groundwater in soils. And so we defined a series of aquifers, and we defined the movement of the groundwater in these aquifers, the gradients, and based on that, we were able to come up with kind of a model, a conceptual model, showing which aquifer is present on the right side of the river, on the left side of the river, and how much water, groundwater, contributes to the Englishman River, mostly under low flow conditions. And based on what we studied, we came up with kind of a global picture of what is being contributed by the overburden aquifer, the sand and gravel aquifer. We also knew what was coming from the dam way up, and we said that the bedrock is playing quite a big part in this dynamic of groundwater through the whole watershed. So we said, let's focus on that. So in the last 2 years, we tried to understand better what's happening with groundwater in bedrock specifically. So here we have the overburden, we have the Englishman River, and we have movement in the bedrock through fractures, and we have what's called we have a diffuse flow that contributes to the river. We have flow through that contributes to the discharge to the sand and gravel aquifer at the bottom of these aquifers. We have a flow through that can go all the way to the ocean, and we have the faults that play also a key role in the system. And are the faults acting as a barrier, acting as a conduit? We don't know yet, so we have to make some assumptions. Why are these assumptions important, and why is the system complex? You can see here, all my blue lines here and my lines are major faults. Each color represents a different type of bedrock. So we have a complex geology. We have, with my red stars, locations where we had wells completed in bedrock that we were able to access to it to monitor. We installed data loggers in these wells. I show this picture it looks nice, so it's why I showed that picture. And you can see the geology. It's a very complex geology system. So we have locations, and we were able at each of the wells where we collected informed the fluctuation of the water table over time. We were able to identify the low level of the water table, the high level of the water table in the bedrock, and also knowing the elevation of the water table, we were able to come up with contours showing the elevation of the water table through the bedrock at the regional scale. And when you have a shape of a curve like that, it indicates that the river acts as a drain. So we have contribution of bedrock groundwater to the river as we expected. So most of the wells were in the lower part of the watershed, and based on what we see in terms of the beginning, the headwaters of the stream at surface, we were able also to estimate the shape of the water table in the bedrock higher up in the watershed, and it's indicated by my yellow lines, and the blue arrows, which indicate in which direction groundwater is moving in the bedrock. With that information, the information collected about the water elevation in the bedrock, we compared to elevation in the shallow aquifer and with the wetlands and the lakes and surface water in order to estimate in which direction vertically was the water moving. And the pink arrows shows in which direction the gradient, the hydraulic gradient is, so in which direction the water moves in the bedrock. And you can see with many of my arrows upward, it shows that groundwater is moving up from the bedrock to the surface. Only 2 locations show movement, so recharge from surface down. So you can see now how important this movement of groundwater in the bedrock is. It comes like from the hole from the top of the ridge, it falls down, and then it discharges up. So now we said, that's great, that's the conceptual model, but now how much is being discharged and how much is moving through the bedrock? So we used the key faults to delineate 3 key blocks, 1, 2, and 3. And then we cranked numbers. And we estimated the flow that is moving through each of the block and how much it represents over the whole year and over the summer under dry conditions. So these blocks here produces roughly 0.13 cubic meter per second. That's about 20% of the flow in the river under low flow conditions, under summer conditions. So we have also blocks number 2, which is delineated by this series of faults. And so we want to know more about the exact movement of the groundwater through the fault, is the fault acting as a barrier or acting as a conduit. So in order to confirm the contribution of each block to the river, we have recommended to install a series of gauges along the river at 3 key locations, location A, location B, and location C. A being here, B being here, and C being here. And trying to install gauges upstream and downstream of some of those key faults to see if there is a change of flow to the river due to the influx coming from the fault. And BCCF and Sean has been instrumental in putting, getting that together. And right now we have 3 gauges, 3 stations which have been installed when we were still dealing with low flow. So we have good 2014 low flow conditions in the river, and then we're also able to catch, what's the change with the big rain event that we had, how is the flow moving, and what also will come through the fractures. So this is a very brief summary of what we have done, and I think we are very pleased with what we were able to achieve. What is coming next is the information that will come from the gauges that will confirm or refute the assumption that we have made relating to the fault coming, the groundwater coming through the faults in the bedrock system. And I wanted to thank all the people who have contributed, Timber West, the Real Estate Foundation, and many others, including the people who contributed, who gave their wealth for monitoring. That was very appreciated. And all of you who are volunteers and who are keen what's happening with a better understanding of the Englishman River Watershed. Thank you very much.